While I was reading Dragon Ball Z Super Manga, I stopped at this beautiful clean frame of Beerus Planet and I asked myself, how would it look like in real life? Since then, I decided to open Photoshop and turn it into reality without the use of AI, and at the end, I was completely impressed how it turns like. Here we are in Photoshop, and let's start with the background, which is actually the sky. So I start to blend these two sky images together to create this pinkish, cloudy, hazy sky. Since Beerus Planet is surrounded by a lot of planets, I brought this PNG image and randomly placed them in different places and blend them with the sky, creating that sort of depth. Now it's the time for the most difficult part in this video, the reversed pyramid. I grabbed the pen tool and I start tracing every single shape separately, but it was easy this time and not time consuming because of the geometry shapes it has. After I finished from the shapes, I moved to the shading process, creating an exposure layer to every single shape and start painting, keeping in mind where is the light coming from, which is from the top in our case. Yeah, it takes a lot of time, but there is a lot of fun in this process, unlike the previous one. There we go, this is the final result after the shading process. Now it's time for painting some shadow highlights to the whole pyramid. We are almost done of the pyramid. We need one more thing, the textures. For that I'm gonna use this wall texture on every single shape, but not only that, I also have to match the perspective of texture with the shapes. This whole process is actually repetitive, just copy paste the same texture layer over the other shapes. We're done with the pyramid, now let's move to work on the foliage. For that I'm gonna use this PNG image, which actually not in a very high quality, which is absolutely a horrible thing to do, but let's skip that for now. I duplicate the image many times and blend them together, removing some unwanted parts. Later I started working on the shadows to make it feel it's actually in there, and then changing the color with a hue saturation adjustment layer to a dark bluish color. The same process goes for the lower one, so we'll just skip that in the video. Now we have one thing left to work on, the tree.
My business is with Isengard tonight, with a rock and stone.
I have to isolate it from the background, so for that I'm gonna use the pen tool and start doing that. Now I have to put it in its right place and then changing its color with a hue saturation adjustment layer and some shadows in the lower areas to make it's actually in there. Yeah, it's just the same process over and over again. Now it's the time for the final touch, compositing, overall highlights, some overlays, and of course, Camera Raw filter to the rescue. I'm very happy how it turns to be. I know this could be done in a minute with AI, but for me, the journey and story you go through when creating something is more important than the thing you create. If you like what you see, you can watch this video where I did the same thing but with Egghead Island from One Piece.